So there's a common myth going around in the Wonderlands community right now that pixies from Feriore reloads will get spell damage. And in today's video, I'm actually going to prove to you that that's only partly true. Myself, along with the help of a couple other people, have done some crazy testing on all the Feriores we can find, and we found out which ones get spell damage and which ones don't. And just because it's a pixie does not mean that it'll get spell damage, and that's what I'm going to show you guys in today's video, so let's hop straight into it. Alrighty, be sure to hit that like and subscribe to the channel for more Wonderlands videos, or if you enjoy the content. First things first, before we really get into it, I gotta shout out a couple different people from the community: Foreign, Lalo, Fibbgibb, IDKFA, and Boombumr. Between myself and these guys, we have done a lot of testing on Feriore reloads, and we're going to tell you exactly which ones give you spell damage and exactly which ones are going to give you gun damage bonuses. If it weren't for these guys, I wouldn't be bringing you this video. We triple checked everything between a combination of us, you know, on different stuff, because some of the guys only tested certain stuff, and we found out, at least from what we have tested, which Feriore reloads get spell damage and which ones get gun damage. So I'm just going to show you guys exactly how to do that and exactly how we tested that. And that's going to be the first tip in this video, is if you are using the Graveborn class, all you need to do is be spec'd into this skill right here, Stain of the Soul. This is going to give bonus dark magic damage to all of your spells. And if it's a TEDIORE, Feriore reload that gets spell damage, you're going to see dark magic damage. For example, I have this Fear Not pistol right here, and this is actually a Hydra, and you're gonna see that this is getting the bonus dark magic damage. See that? That is a fire Feriore reload, but he's getting that bonus dark magic damage. There you go, you can see the dark magic. So which Feriore reloads, oh, and let me show you guys this pixie, because this is the pixie that doesn't get any spell damage. Look at that, it's only shooting for cryo, and that's because this doesn't count as a spell. So, which Feriore reloads get spell damage and which ones don't? It has nothing to do with whether it's a pixie or not. Now, it only has to do whether it's a companion or not. So basically, that's going to be the first rule of thumb. It must be a Hydra or a Pixie. Out of all of the Feriore reloads we have tested, and now I'm just saying this is what we've tested, we might have missed something, but we have tested bouncing guns that shoot bullets, dagger storms, gun with wings. Out of everything we have seen and tested, the only two types of throwables that get spell damage are the two companions, Hydras and Pixies. So your gun must be a Hydra or a Pixie to even be able to get spell damage. And now the next thing I'm going to tell you is that it can only be a pistol or a shotgun as well. We have not found one SMG that's going to get spell damage. So basically, out of the pistols and shotguns, which ones get spell damage and which ones don't? And it's actually pretty simple. Luckily, I have a great rule of thumb for you. So out of pistols, you are only looking for Fear Nots. There are a couple different pistols. There are Fear Nots, What Nots, Want Nots, No Nots. I think that's it, or maybe, you know, I might have misspoke one. But the only pistol out of all of the ones we have tested are Fear Nots, and these usually are the crossbows, with the crossbolts deal 6% increased damage or melee damage, whatever roll you get. But Fear Not is the only type of pistol that's going to get spell damage. And you guys saw that this one was a Hydra, and it was getting spell damage, and this was a Pixie, and it was not getting the spell damage. But let me go ahead and switch over to this Fear Not, which is a Pixie, and you're going to see that this one is going to get spell damage. So let's go ahead and wait for that stuff to go away. All right, so we're going to shoot our Pixie. And you can see he's shooting for fire and spell damage. And don't worry, that's not my pet getting in the way. That's actually this Pixie shooting for fire and spell damage. You can see it clearly right there. So basically, it's just the Fear Not pistol, and they are easily identified because I'm pretty sure that this is the only type of Feriore pistol that rolls with the crossbow. But with that being said, just look for Fear Nots. And like I said, I'm pretty sure it's the crossbow. So crossbows are spell damage. And now let's talk about the shotguns, because this one is even weirder, but we have been able to identify which shotguns get spell damage and which shotguns get gun damage. And that is whether it shoots a magical blast of energy or not. So you know how you have these shotguns in the game that shoot magical blasts of energy, and then you have normal shotguns that shoot just like regular bullets. Well, you would think that the magical blasts of energy get the spell damage, but actually they don't. So let's just throw that down. You're gonna see that it's only shooting for cryo. It's not getting that bonus dark magic damage. That's from my pet, by the way. From the Demi-Lich. So make sure that the Demi-Lich isn't confusing you. And you're gonna see that this one right here, which shoots regular bullets, is a Pixie, and look how that Pixie shoots the whole shotgun blast as well. I'm actually pretty interested in these Pixie regular bullet shotguns, because it actually shoots pellets, which I actually find really cool. Anyways, though, it seems like the shotguns that shoot bullets do get spell damage, and the shotguns that shoot magical blasts of energy do not get spell damage. So those are the results I am bringing you guys today. Now, one other thing I will talk about is in our testing, like I said, SMGs never get spell damage. However, what I want to tell you guys is that if a gun, so let me put on the whatnot. This is our gun damage one. So another thing I tested that is very, very interesting is these Fear Nots and these regular bullet Feriores. When you throw them, they're actually not going to be getting gun damage bonuses. So I don't know if this stuff is intended, but it's really interesting that you get different Feriores that get only spell bonuses, and then different Feriores that only get gun bonuses. So keep that in mind for your damage formulas. Now, all Hydras and Pixies get companion damage as well, so keep that in mind. But this spell damage, Fear Not, is not going to get gun damage. It's going to be spell damage, companion damage, and then, you know, your global bonuses usually apply to everything. And then when it comes to the shotguns, regular bullets get spell damage, which is weird. It's backwards. And then the magical blast of energies get the gun damage bonuses. So that's another cool little tidbit. When you're using a certain Feriore, it's a trade-off. So keep that in mind when farming for the right Feriores. Now, with that being said, since there are very few Feriore reload styles in the game that get spell damage, unless you're using a spell damage build, you actually just want to avoid these. Now, once again, keep in mind, like I said, for example, I don't know if I have a gun with wings on this save file, but a gun with wings, even though it's a Fear Not, it will never get spell damage. And let me just show you that right now. And that's because I guess it just turns into a regular gun. I think we finished off the last crab. All right, well, I can run to some other crabs, or you can take my word for it. But basically, the only types of reloads that we found to get spell damage, even though you can see this is a Fear Not as well, it's not going to get that dark magic bonus. See? No dark magic damage anywhere. It's just the normal kinetic damage. Okay, that's from my pet. Sorry, it can be a little confusing sometimes because the Demi-Lich shows up. But he's just shooting. You saw earlier, it was only normal bullet damage. Okay, you can rewind the video. Anyways, so that is some interesting stuff, some interesting testing. Shout out to those guys from earlier, like I said, and do with this information what you will, because your Feriores that do get spell bonuses will not be getting gun damage bonuses. Your Feriores that get gun damage bonuses will not be getting spell damage bonuses. So keep that in mind when making your build. You're not going to really need any gun damage bonuses if you plan on using spell damage Feriores, which obviously will be popular in like a spell shot sort of class. And then, you know, like the build I posted the other day where my Spore-born build, Spore Warden times Graveborn, where I was only using the gun with wings on that build for the most part, I'm going to have to go through my Hydras and make sure that none of them are spell damage Hydras. Because between, with being a main Spore Warden class, Graveborn gets some spell damage bonuses, but you know, with a Spore-born Grave Warden, you probably don't want to use any spell damage, Feriore reloads. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that dispelled the myth for you and the interesting thing about reloads in this game. And remember that easy tip I told you about Now, if you're not using Graveborn, it'll be a little bit harder. But if you're running Graveborn, all you have to do is spec into Stain the Soul, and then you won't have to do any testing or math. You just have to see if your Feriore reload does dark magic damage, even though it's not a dark magic Feriore. And it's that simple. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Shout out to those guys again for helping me do the testing, and I'll see you guys in the next one.